Harvard Divinity School.
100 Years Rudolf Steiner, December 15th and 16th, 2025.
The final presenter in this panel is Angela Assis. Is that how you say your name? Yes. Angela Assis. With 30 years of experience in consulting, organization, and leadership in the business world, she has retired and now works as an independent social practitioner and organizational consultant, specializing in biography work for leadership and development.
Got it.
And her paper is entitled Contested Lineages, Bernard Lievegoed and Gudrun Burkhard as second-generation interpreters of Rudolf Steiner.
Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
E boa tarde, boa noite para os falantes de português e boas noites para os falantes de espanhol que estão em Zoom. Tenho duas coisas a share. I have two things to share with you. One is, I totally understand that I am between us and dinner. That's a spot. And the second one is, it is intimidating. It is intimidating to be here after all this presentation with this background and richness and all that. It is, wow, okay, what am I going to say? So I think then I will just summarize by saying, I want to bring you two people, Gudrun Burkhard and Bernard Lievegoed, who actually are exemplary and real examples of what we have been listening until now. Yeah? So where is the thing to move the slides? And where are the slides?
Question.
Excellent question, right? Yes. And I checked it with Matthew, so he should have. Anyhow, here we would start by three questions, or with the three questions. The first one be, what if spiritual science could really enter the boardrooms? Second question, could we see organizations as living organisms that breathe, grow, get sick, evolve, and eventually will either die or transform? And the third question, could our work, our relationships, our encounters, our meetings, our crises really carry us into spiritual growth? Could those be vessels for spiritual development? So those questions, they have been with me for my life. I'm a practitioner. I have been working with organizations in a consultant capacity for many years. And I found anthroposophy early in my 30 years in Brazil. Yes.
Did you download them on here?
Yes, it is in the file. The file for this room at 4 o'clock.
I only see Johannes's.
I don't know what Matthew did. And I really need the picture because the...
I will go. I think it's on PowerPoint. Yeah.
This is my son.
Hi, everybody.
My IT tech. There you go. Yeah, excellent. Very nice. And Teodoro, how do I move the next slide? Oh, yeah, well, there was
a keyboard.
There was somewhere. A keyboard. Oh, yeah, there was a keyboard here.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's position this right. Okay, very good. Okay, so let me go back to those questions very quickly, because I think they are really fundamental for what we are doing today. It is a different way to think about anthroposophy and very much how to apply that in the real world. And that's where I'm coming from. Yeah? So what I'm going to do today is show how Bernard Lievegoed and Gudrun Burkhard, they worked on those questions, those fundamental questions out of Steiner's teachings. And the other thing it is, they become the most influential carriers of that impulse, that is spiritual science impulse, reaching.
We're not sharing the slides yet.
No,
No, let's do it again.
I just shared.
Yeah. What have I done?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you just need to share screen.
Yep.
usually when I'm facilitating, and then those things happen, I say this is the Ahrimanic forces coming into place. So let's deal with that. That's so good.
Let's welcome them.
Yeah, let's welcome them. I'm sorry? Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Teodoro. Okay, let's see. So what I was saying was about those three very important questions. They are indeed very important questions. And what truly what Lievegoed and Gudrun did was they become carriers of his spiritual science impulse, reaching far beyond esoteric circles, but far beyond esoteric circles. And we are going to see that. They both call him their mentor and their teacher without even meeting Steiner in person, ever. Lievegoed in the Netherlands and Gudrun in Brazil, two physicians, two remarkable human beings who contribute immensely to inner and outer human development at the individual and at the corporation level. They created a whole school of a human and organization development, working with this concept or this idea of our inner and out. It's not or, it's and. They offered living methods and not only theories at all. Their biographies are examples that anthroposophy remains vital only when it dares to incarnate itself anew in the conditions of the time. That's the only way. I cannot do justice to their rich biographies in 20 minutes or 30 minutes or less, and I do not want to reduce or simplify either their legacy. So consciously, very consciously, I am bringing today both Lievegoed and Gudrun as a second generation from the lenses, one lens only, from the lenses of the work they did creating biography work. In this practice, in the biography work practice, we look at one's biography at a tapestry of cycles, rhythms, thresholds, and archetypes. And this is how I want to talk about their legacy today and hopefully provoke some insights. So when I say things about that age or that phase, think about yours. What I was doing when I was 12, what I was doing when I was 32 or 33, and that may bring some insights that I hope will illuminate the night, and then we can go to sleep. So 3 days ago, literally 3 days ago, and I think this is just beautiful, it had been 33 years after Lievegoed crossed the threshold. There was December 12, 1992, and I get goosebumps. In biography, in cycles over 33 years, is a threshold super important because it's between death and resurrection. It's exactly that notion when new impulses can be brought to life. And today, I am super humble and honored to bring him at this moment, 33 years after. So it's, So Mr. Bernard Cornelis Johannes Lievegoed was born in Sumatra, a former Dutch colony, in 1905. A large tropical island with volcanic mountains, rainforest, tobacco and coffee plantations, and a rich cultural life. An environment filled with contrasts, light and shadow, wealth and poverty, indigenous and colonial worlds. Later, he said that these early polarities awakened in him a lifelong sensitivity to tension and development. Her mother was a great teacher, and his father a journalist. And Lievegoed became a citizen of the world, experiencing life between continents. Think about Europe, think about India, think about all this. And when he was 12, he traveled to the United States with his father for a reason of a trip that they had to cross the Panama Canal. But anyhow, he heard when Woodrow Wilson declared war to Germany at the age of 12, which is another threshold in our age. 12 is a waking moment in our biographies when we say, what am I doing here on this planet right now? That's the first insight, the first touch. So he had to learn actually to walk twice because he contracted cholera at the age of 2, and he had to learn again. Rudolf Steiner says that cholera has to do with a decision made before birth to strengthen the will. Wow. If it is a strength, the inner force, what a strong training he's had. Yeah? In our biographies, we, every 18 and a half years, let's put it this way, we find ourselves at a moon nodes, which is exactly the point when moon, earth, and sun align exactly at the same point when we were born. Yeah? This threshold can review our intentions for the present incarnation. Think about this threshold, this moment as karma, as our karma in this incarnation. So at his first node in 1924, Lievegoed chose medicine after considering electrotechnology and chemistry. He also heard about Rudolf Steiner for the first time, when the theosophist recounted the burning of the first Getianum. Years later, Lievegoed will say that this encounter had been part of his karma. Did I know them? In our biography, after the development of our physical body between 0 and 7 years, etheric body between 7 and 14, and astral body between 14 and 21, comes to play the I. So Lievegoed said that at this age, he encountered anthroposophy for the first time. So he was exercising his I and he met anthroposophy. He received the famous Blue Book, which was written by Rudolf Steiner and Ita Wegman, and he said, with those concepts, I can work with this kind of a medicine. Yeah? Lievegoed saw communities as instruments of a healing. At the age of 26, he founded this place, which in English translates for solar community. I'm going to butcher the Dutch. It is Ziekenhuis. It is Solar House, a medical pedagogical institute uniting medicine, pedagogy, and art. Fellows, there was 1931. The idea of a development soon became a central guiding principle of his work. He pioneered what he called biography therapy, whose aim was to understand a patient's problem within the unfolding of a life development, not in isolation. He later wrote psychotherapy in 1930s was virtually analogous with psychoanalysis, I went my own way on the basis of the anthroposophy. And there it is, he did it. He would also teach social pedagogy as professor in Rotterdam, and his approach was grounded in the understanding that all development involves creating something new, an active and creative process to address the needs and realities of the present. I just think this is brilliant. And for him, a life crisis was not a pathology, but a threshold of an initiation, a moment when deeper capacities could awaken. This insight supported his lifelong effort to integrate spiritual science with psychological and social development, translating Steiner's idea into practical approaches for human and organizational growth. In this way, Lievegoed stands as really true second generation interpreter of Rudolf Steiner, carrying Steiner's insights into new fields and turning them into tools for understanding individuals, groups, communities, institutions. He wrote Phases of a Childhood when he was 41. And then Phases, the Spiritual Rhythms of Adult Life, is probably one of the most important books of a biography work. And this book about the adult life came actually 30 years after the first one, which was related to children. And I think it's fascinating his life, and we are going to hear the same with the Gudrun's life, which is time is infinite. They did something here, then 15, 30, 35, 40 years later, something new was emerging. And that gives me hope. With my white hair, that truly gives me hope to my own existence in a way. So this book, the Phases, he wrote up to 63 years old in terms of a cycle of a human life. Gudrun later expanded this notion after 63, and she went up to 80 years old, which is perhaps his greatest cultural contribution in the notion of the threefold organism came in 1954. He was 48 years old when he founded the NPE, the Netherlands Pedagogical Institute. This emerged from the curative pedagogical movement that he had in the Sura House. And the NPE dedicated itself to healing the sick organization, advising organizations and corporations, such as Philip and Shell. He wrote, with the NPE, I wanted to go out into the world. That means, what means go out into the world? You have to develop a vision. And also an anthroposophical view on social problems with which you can really do something concrete. He brought spiritual science into boardrooms, into organizational life cycles, into leadership development. Decades before anyone used the term regenerative and spiritual capital, or even the emotional intelligence for that matter. Leadership, he says, is a therapeutic conversation with the organizational soul, the essence for me, basis of the work. And drawing on Steiner's threefold nature of a human being, he conceived organizations as living beings with a metabolism, a rhythm system, and a nerve sense pole. He also said that the organizations would develop in phases. And listen to this, a little seed of the original impulse in that organization, from those organizations, must be kept alive so that the organization can later transform, to adapt, to change circumstances. An organization that no longer has flexibility is in effect a dead organization, unable to react and respond. In 1968, When the students were protesting for justice, peace, and freedom, Lievegoed was 63, and he founded the Free College. The inspiration was the School of Chartres, the leading intellectual center in the 12th century, particularly famous for the study of Plato and liberal arts. He was dean of this university for the next 11 years. The book, Man on the Threshold, came out when he was almost 78 years old. He was talking about inner development. The conscious path inward is the only true therapy against the increasing threat of invasion out of the unconscious soul life, just as the conscious path outward is the therapy against the urge to escape and incarnating by means of addiction to drugs, alcohol, and other intoxicants. Sergei Prokofiev wrote to him shortly before his death in 1992, describing Lievegoed as a representative of indissoluble loyalty and devotion to the Christmas conference. He recognized his contribution as essential and not merely theoretical. His last work, which is considered his legacy, spiritual legacy, it's Battle for the Soul, he explored the interplay of Ahriman and Lucifer and left an important message. Future tasks require conscious collaboration among members of the anthroposophical movement. He said, we must learn within the anthroposophical movement to collaborate with one another in groups. It does not matter which groups, study groups, communities, work group. We must be prepared. Now, let me show you Gudrun Burkhard briefly, because I know these fingers don't come down anyhow. So Gudrun was a very pragmatic and immense will force. She had this rare capability to carry forward an impulse. Her path was clarity, structure, and direction. She was born in São Paulo on December 14, 1929. So yesterday, she would have been 96 years old. And I just think that is amazing that they are together here today. Her father was a German physiotherapist and naturopath. Until the age of 7, she spoke only German at home, giving her an early sense of a living between words. At 5, her stepmother brought anthroposophy into the home, and she heard for the first time that life itself is a spiritual school. In our biographies, every 12 years, we enter a new threshold. Think about that. And in those thresholds, we tend to unfold our choices and priorities related to our vocation, to our purpose, and to our profession. In Portuguese, there is a saying that when a kid is around 11, 12, we say, what do you want to become when you grow up? Right? So it's kind of a what's in the future for you. This is called the Jupiter cycle. At 12, Gudrun knew she would be a doctor. She studied medicine at one of the most prestigious schools in Latin America and graduated at the age of 24, obviously. So she interned at the Driebergen clinic in Switzerland, working with the first generation of anthroposophical physicians, and she met Bernard Lievegoed there during one of the Christmas events. She was 33. So around 36, coincidental with her second moon node, remember the karma on the moon node? So she bought the land to build Clínica Tobias in Brazil. The Clínica Tobias opened 4 years later and was the first anthroposophical clinic in Latin America, integrating medicine, eurythmy, massage, and art therapy. A year after the inauguration, Bernard Lievegoed went to Brazil with his wife, and they developed a long life friendship. Another threshold, around the 12 years, when she was 48, she joined the clinic of Rafael, which met annually at the Ita Vegama Clinicum during Easter. Joining this clinic, or the circle, meant embracing the impulse to support decisively and consciously the task initiated by Rudolf Steiner and Ita Vegama for the spiritualization of a medicine and all therapeutic impulses. Lievegoed was also a member of the circle. But I want to bring them together without having more time to talk about everything that they did as deeds to the work. My paper is uploaded, so you can take a look at that. But in 99, Lievegoed and Gudrun met at the Gotiani, and Gudrun remembers that meeting as a very spiritual moment. At that moment, he was proclaimed as the father of the biography work, and she as a mother of the biography work, which is amazing in terms of two human beings, two streams, two languages, Europe and Brazil, going towards this work that is available today. Now, as a consultant, I cannot leave you without questions. So I'm just going to jump into the slides and leave you with this question. If inner and out development are truly and must mirror one another, what responsibility and possibility does that place in our hands as creators of the future? And the second question for the night: what small inner gesture that could be of a clarifying, of a courage, of a gratitude, or forgiveness could unlock a much larger outer movement in our life or our communities today? Thank you so very much. Hope you have a wonderful night.
Sponsored by the Program for the Evolution of Spirituality.
Copyright 2023, Preston Fellows of Harvard College.